Planning and design phase of a construction project. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the planning and design phase of a construction project and the key things that you must do in each phase. If you're interested in really nailing the activities, the key activities in each phase of pre-construction, then you've come to the right place. This is going to be fun. Okay, so I'm super stoked about this. Let's get right into it. So I'm going to use a commonly known framework for design and pre-construction. So we typically have your concept design, you have your schematic design. This is where you're really getting the overall massing, the shape of the building. You're understanding whether or not the design can meet the intent. We're going into design development. This is when you're selecting systems, and you're going to then flesh out the design team is going to flesh out the construction documents. So I'll put CDs, then we're going to have our NTP, and we're going to jam out and head in that direction. Now, not all projects do this, or meaning parallel design with pre-construction, but most of the projects that I've been on have. If it's design, bid, build, God forbid, you'll be in a different scenario, different circumstance, but I'm going to use these as the parameters that we're going to follow here. Let me talk right away. And hopefully you've been brought on early on in the project, you're going to want to understand what's called the conditions of satisfaction. What would be, by the time you're done building this project, a really successful completion? What would the conditions of satisfaction for the owner and all of the stakeholders be? You must understand that right out of the gate. Number two, you must understand the owner's top 10. So I'm just going to put a dot over here and list this as top 10. This is an interesting concept. Yes, the design documents or the construction documents and the specs will clearly articulate what you're supposed to build, but the owner will have things that will be important to them. I remember the last project I ran as a superintendent, it was don't damage the waterproofing, right? We want the lobby to be beautiful, the stairs, even if they're on the back of a house, to look really nice and aligned. We really care about our stairwells, and we really want to take care of the neighbors, right? So they literally said, these are the top 10, it doesn't have to always be 10, but these are the top 10 things that are important to us as an owner. You've got to know that so that you can deliver and create a plan for the project and really make sure that we're focused on customer service, not just providing some random product. Early on in the project, and this would even be, you could do this in the proposal phase when you're bidding on the project or anywhere around here, but what I want you to create is called a macro level Takt plan. This is where you have your start and your end date, and you see the overall strategic plan for the project. Everybody can see it at a glance on one piece of paper. This will be in addition to zone maps. If you have your building, how is this going to be zoned? This right here is key to identify your general conditions, general requirements, and make sure that you have real-time feedback for the design team as you plan this project. In addition to your macro level Takt plan, you will want to quickly identify what is your plan when it comes to logistics, right? So your logistics plan is going to show the entry, the trailer, the parking lot, the laydown areas. Do you have a crane? Do you have a forklift? Do you have a hoist, right? This is going to help you with all of your indirects because your macro level Takt plan helped you identify your GCs, and your logistics plan helps you identify your general requirements, your GRs. So early on, you'll want to make sure that you have your logistics plan and that everybody can see it and that you know you can support your overall macro level Takt plan. Number 6, and this is key, as soon as you can do this, I want you to start looking at long lead material procurement. I'll just put materials right here. This is one of the first things that you should do. Once you have your macro level Takt plan, you should be able to know what the required on job dates are and literally start planning that early on. You're talking about things like elevators, exterior skin, this crazy tile that on the bathrooms that's coming from Italy. Start this soon so you're not affected by delays in the supply chain. Another thing that I want you to start doing somewhere around here, and this is important, this is like a novel idea. I'm going to call this design to the work package. I learned this from Todd Zabel on Built to Fail. Designing to the work package means that we know what our macro level Takt plan is, and we know if we have bottlenecks or big problems or opportunities, right? We know that if we have problems with our supply chain, and what Todd Zabel's basically saying is, if you have these that you need to fix or that you need to optimize, go ahead and ask in design, what can we do to design it differently, fabricate it differently, or deliver it differently, or install it differently to really get rid of these problems and optimize our overall plan. And this has to be done in the schematic design phase. That way, any requirements for the design team can go to the design team when they're selecting systems. So that's absolutely crucial. That's a fantastic effort. Check out his book, Built to Fail, if you want to learn more. Number 8, once this happens, you'll know exactly what you need to prefabricate. So you'll want to start that effort in detail. You'll want to look at site readiness. This would be looking at the actual soils report, making sure that there's no utilities that have to be relocated, no shoring. Make sure that I'm going to call it the substrate, but the land, the lot, the foundation, the soil around your foundations are all ready to accept the building. If you have bad soils condition, you need shoring, or you need to relocate a utility, this will take quite a long time. So that's when you want to do it, pretty early on, sometime around the design development phase. Next, you will want to organize the project team, and this is probably one of the most key ones. So I'm going to have this be the biggest circle, is you're going to gather the team. This is huge. If I don't have the team gathered by mid or the 2/3 point of design development, I'll freak out, because this team has to create the plan in here to execute the project. It is immoral and unethical to hold a project team accountable for a project that they did not plan. So we definitely want to gather the team here and make sure that they're starting to take on the macro level TAC plan, that they're starting to create the norm with trade partners, that they're updating the zoning, that they're updating the logistics, that they're designing the trailer for the project, that they're doing the risk and opportunity register, that they're now managing the procurement systems, right? And if your team isn't on board, then somebody inside the company in pre-con needs to be doing this to properly set up the first planners so we can properly set up the last planners. This is all for the purpose, meaning creating this content, this is all for the purpose of doing what's called, I'll name it both things. You can call this a risk review, or you can call this a fresh eyes. I like fresh eyes meeting myself. So what you're going to want to do is obviously be tracking your planning to set up the team. So materials should be on track. We should have enough money in the budget for the overall duration. We should have enough money in the budget for the general requirements. We get all of this planning done so that we can pull this into a fresh eyes meeting where you gather multiple people with many years of experience to literally do what they call Pixar planning: review and tear apart the plan, redo it. Review and tear apart the plan, redo it. Review and tear apart the plan, redo it. Basically, you're making sure here that the plan is solid on paper before you build it in the field, right? Because projects don't go wrong, they start wrong. We have to make sure that we're starting right. And once you do the fresh eyes meeting, one thing that I don't want any of the teams to forget is to do your update to the plan, right? If any of these need to come in to the prime agreement as a part of your, either included in the prime agreement or in your actual GMP submission as an exhibit or an attachment or anything like that, we would want to have that updated. We have all of the final planning tools that we need to go start the project so that we can start the project off on the right foot. And I'm going to draw a circle here. At the end of the CD phase, just before NTP and as we're starting, we've got to get out of the ground quickly. And so this time right here should not be in being confused about what the plan is. We should have the plan done. This right here is for the trade partner preparation process, getting our trade partners into our pre-con meetings and ready to start strong, and the site set up to where we can gain as much time as we can while we only have a few folks on site. And so I would love to know in the comments, what key thing in design and pre-construction do you think I'm missing here? What would you like to add to the list? In the description below, I'm going to give you a list of all of the key things that I like to have in here. And we're going to link you to the book, Elevating Pre-Construction Planning. And we're going to put this into a Canva graphic. But the bottom line is, the more you plan your project, the better off you'll be. A day in pre-con will save you a week or a month on the actual construction project when you're on site. I really hope you love this. And if you did, please like and subscribe. We'd love to have you. And, take this as far as you can. I hope you enjoy the resources. On we go.